Have I ever told you the story behind my Oakley vest? If you're like me, there's usually some kind of story behind the patterns that you sew. In honor of our upcoming fall sale, before and during the sale, we're going to offer sewists the opportunity to tell us the stories that are behind their sewing patterns. Either the finding of the pattern, the sewing of the pattern, the putting together things, the wearing of it, the gifting of it. Usually there's some kind of story behind the things that we sew. So if you share your story, the pattern, and maybe a couple pictures, you could be entered to win a chance at a $100 store credit from Love Notions just in time for the sale, as well as the opportunity to be featured on some of our social channels so that we can celebrate you and your sewing story. So you can share your stories on any and all social media platforms. Just be sure to tag Love Notions so that we can see your story. Make sure to share your story and you could win a $100 store credit just in time for our fall sale. The Love Notions Fall 40% off sale is happening next week, October 2nd through 6th. It's only 5 days long, and we very rarely have sales. So this fall, the sale theme is There's a Story. So that story could be about its creation. It could be something about the sewing process, something that happened while you wore it, something that you learned about yourself related to the pattern or sewing it, or anything in between. For example, maybe you wore a Willow Wrap Dress to a family event and something super important happened at the event. That would be a great example of an entry for this contest. Or maybe you look at your Rhapsody blouse and you can't help but think of the special connection that you had with someone while you wore it and tell us the story behind that. So from now until Wednesday of next week, October 4th, please share these stories on any of and all of the social platforms that you have access to as many times as you like. You could do as many patterns as you like. You could post your story as many times as you like, but just be sure to tag Love Notions. You can either do @LoveNotions on whatever platform you're at, or if you're on like the Facebook pattern support group, you could tag Tessa or Tammy, and we're gonna sift through those submissions, and together we're gonna select 5 stories that we think are just beautiful reminders of the power of a sewn garment. We're going to showcase each of the selected stories on our newsletter. So everybody will get to kind of see your special story. And we're also going to make a YouTube video here. The ones that are selected will also get a $100 Love Notion store credit that can be used on patterns, classes, anything that you like in the store. And you can use that during our 40% off sale. So here are the guidelines. So first, you're just going to start your story submission with the phrase, "There's a story behind my," and then the pattern name. For example, "There's a story behind my Oakley vest." This should be a standalone post on whatever platform you're on. We prefer it not to be inside of a comment because it's going to be too hard to find those. So just write that story behind the pattern. There's no length requirement, so it could be short and sweet, just a few sentences, or it could be longer and more descriptive. It's completely up to you how long it is. We'd love for you to attach a few pictures, or depending on what platform you're on, a short form video, and just attach that to the post. You could post on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, anywhere Love Notions is, you can post. But the 4th guideline is that you need to tag Love Notions with your story submission. And again, you're welcome to create as many stories as you'd like. And this is important. If you want to be absolutely sure that your story gets considered, you could also submit a link to your posted story to tessa@lovenotions.com. That will make sure that I absolutely get the link to your. So feel free to ask any questions below, or let me know if you plan to make a submission. I'm definitely going to be looking out for some great stories, and one of them could be yours. So as we share our special stories about our Love Oceans garments in celebration of our upcoming sale. I thought it was only fitting that I share one of my special stories about one of the Love Oceans patterns that I've sewn. So again, I'm going to start it with, there's a story behind my Oakley vest. So this is the Oakley vest. I feel like I wear this particular one a lot. I have sewn several Oakley vests, and this one I think is my very, very favorite. And I'll tell you why. The reason why this is my very favorite vest is Oakley vest is because this is the one that I wear almost exclusively when I travel. This vest is just great because it's just like an extra layer. If I'm on an airplane, it's like not too hot. I can take it off easily and just have a sweatshirt underneath or even a long sleeve t-shirt. It's great going from like transitional weather, like going from the, cold Chicagoland area typically to anywhere else in the country. It's nice to just have a lighter weight piece that I can throw on when I get back to Chicago, or that I can easily take off when I get to the warmer destination. It's got big pockets. I love my zipper. I'm just really happy with this pattern, and it's been great to travel with. So I, of course, decided to bring this vest with me when my husband and I went to his cousin's wedding in Virginia this last year in 2022. So it's been almost a year. It was in November. And so in November in Chicagoland is super cold. So this was great to wear with a hoodie over. And then when I got to Richmond, Virginia, it was easy to take it off and store it away and just bring it out when I needed it. So it's just like a perfect travel piece. So we check into our hotel, we get ready for the wedding, we go out, and it was just a beautiful, gorgeous day. We go shopping and connect with his family, go to the rehearsal dinner, and the next day was the wedding, and it was wonderful. And we had the greatest time. We were all just having a blast. So we get home pretty late, we get back to the hotel pretty late, and I am exhausted. And I don't know, it was like everything, the travel, the being exhausted from the party. And then we were in a hotel room where there was also a cross-country college competition or something. There was some kind of marathon or running thing that a bunch of college students were participating in. So the entire night, we had college kids running back and forth through the halls. I would say from midnight until 3 a.m., there was just door slamming and people yelling and kids running around with sheets around them. It felt like I was in a dorm room. Let's just say I did not get great sleep the night before we were about to take off on our trip back home on the airplane. And so I'm exhausted. I wake up and I'm just I have a terrible headache. I feel awful. And I just want to get home. And so we check out of the hotel, we get to the airport, we walk around the airport, just kind of killing time a little bit. Of course, I have my Oakley vest on because it's what I travel in. And we realized that when we checked in, we were going to be in different seats. We were not going to be anywhere near each other. The plane was so full, and we fly Southwest. So when we tried to check in, we were back in C60. So we just knew that there was no chance that we were going to be able to sit together. And one thing about me is that I hate flying. I hate it. I am a terrible person to be on a flight with. Every time we take off, I have to be holding somebody's hand. I often need to do some breathing exercises and meditations and prayers. I get really, really, really nervous flying. So I knew that I wanted to sit next to my husband no matter what. He's used to me. He knows how to kind of handle me when I get a little bit upset during a flight because I'm super, super, super scared of flying. The other thing that you should know about me is that I am also super claustrophobic. I hate being in confined spaces. I get all sweaty, I get hot, I get just scared. I just hate the feeling of not being able to get out if I needed to get out. I can't stand it. Even being in the car sometimes makes me feel claustrophobic. It was especially bad when I was pregnant because I just felt like everything was just on me, So I was trying to get used to the fact that I was going to be separated from my husband during this flight, trying to just be a big girl and get over it. And we get on to the flight. We're last ones on, and we see that there's 2 spots still open in the very back of the plane. And so we had to make a split-second decision where I decided either I was going to be very confined or I was going to be really scared. And so in that moment, I said, I don't care where I'm sitting, let's just be together. So the seats that we were in were the very back of the plane, right in front of the bathroom. So my husband sat in the middle, the other person sat on the end, on the aisle seat, and then I was in the window. I absolutely, once everything was taking off and we were going, I regretted that choice immediately because I was nervous about flying. I was feeling super cranky and tired and kind of had like a terrible headache going on from the night before. And I was in just this tiny, confined little space. And I knew that if something happened and we had to deplane, I would be the very last person that would be allowed to get off of the plane. Like that was what was scary to me, I think. So we're taking off and I started having like a panic attack, like a literal panic attack. And I don't know if you've had a panic attack before, but I am like sweating. I'm crying. I cannot get it together. My poor husband is trying to comfort me, but he kind of knows that there's not really much that you can do at that point. He's trying to get me a water, trying to like be calm. And all I'm doing is just like having a hard time breathing. I'm crying. All these poor people around me are probably like, who is this person that has sat next to us? Why is she crying? Why is she so upset? This makes no sense. And I'm a mess. I'm just an absolute mess. And then one row in front of us, we hear a cat. And some person has decided to bring their cat onto the plane. And in that moment, I think that the cat was feeling exactly like I was. This poor little thing was like in this carrier. It was on this plane. It probably had no idea what was going on. And these poor owners are trying to like, console it. And all we hear is, yeah, like it's just kind of going crazy behind them. And then the cat, I guess all of the nerves and everything got to it. And it had explosive diarrhea all over the people in that row. It was like in a carrier, but it was like leaking out. And everybody around was just like, what has happened? And the smell was absolutely terrible. This poor cat has just had an accident. And I felt really bad for those owners, but I also felt really bad for me because I was the last person before the bathrooms. And so all the scent that wafted through the aircraft was just coming right back to me. And in that moment, I kind of felt like, at least I'm not the owner of that cat. Even though I'm having a panic attack and things are not going really great for me, at least I'm not the one that has to clean up cat poop off of an airplane. Needless to say, whenever I look at my Oakley Vest, I think about traveling, and I think about what I was wearing that day in the flight from Richmond, Virginia to Chicago. And I just think that I'm so glad that I didn't bring a cat onto a flight, and that even though I had a panic attack on a flight, things could always have been worse. So that's my story about the Oakley Vest and what it makes me think of whenever I wear it or put it, look at it in the closet. I guess that message is things could always get worse. But that's an example of a story that I have to tell that relates to one of my love notions patterns. I can't wait to read your stories, whether they are funny or heartwarming or shocking. I just can't wait to hear about all of the pieces of your life that are woven into the garments that you sew. So don't forget about that 40% off sale that's starting next week. You can start making your wish list right now, so you kind of have a list of things that you want to just click, add to cart when the sale goes live. We do not have 40% off sales or really site-wide sales at all. Like we very rarely, like maybe 1 or 2 a year. So now is the time to grab those things that you've been looking at throughout the year. But I hope that you have a great day of sewing and that you think back on some of the stories that are woven into your Love Notions garments.